Hello and welcome to episode 93 of our Conversations to Connect. Let's get real, powered by Exceptional Connections. I'm Cyndi O'Neill-Dady, the founder and chief connector of Exceptional Connections since 2009. Our conversation to connect today is with the amazing Ginine Emily Smith, joining us from Plano, Texas. Welcome, Ginine.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I miss Washington already. It's 105 here.
What a treat to be able to have you and your husband join us and for you to share with our Exceptional Connections community. It was really great.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you. You have put together such an amazing community, and that's what it is. It's connection and community, and thank you so much. We are very grateful to you and for the dinner.
Oh, well, you're quite welcome. Well, it's a treat for us, and I'm excited to be able to roll up our sleeves and be able to talk about what you are waiting for, how to turn your story into a mission, movement, and legacy. You shared with our Exceptional Connections community, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, but before we go ahead and dive into this rich conversation, I want to take a moment to introduce Ginine to our Exceptional Connectors who may not already know her. Ginine Emily Smith is a global influencer, best-selling author, award-winning songwriter, TV and top 3% podcast host, and founder of the B.A.D.D.A.S.S Lioness movement. You are a master of reinvention, and Ginine has transformed extraordinary life challenges into a global mission of helping people reclaim their voice, own their own story, and create meaningful impact. Through Hearts in Sync Productions, media platforms, speaking and music, and transformational experiences, she empowers leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers to turn their stories into movements, their message into influence, and their purpose into legacy. Wow, that is so amazing. I love your heart. I love your desire to make a difference in the world and sharing stories. So before we kick off, I want you to share a little bit about your journey before we jump into this intriguing topic.
My journey, and I have a cat meowing right now. She was mad that I left, so sorry about that. My journey, well, I had a rocky upbringing. My father was killed when I was 15, leaving my mom a single mom of six kids. And she moved us up to Washington. She did the best that she could. But I decided when my dad died, I share this in my story, that because it was heartbreaking. I didn't just lose a father, I lost everything, like, my security, my safety, uh, just everything. And so I decided that if I couldn't control what happened around me, that I would control how valuable I became, right? So I became an overachiever. Go, 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 earning my worth in this world, trying to please my mom. And I had to grow up real early, but I wasn't my full authentic self. I really wore many, many masks. I walked through a life of trauma and depression, extreme depression. My dad had depressive illness back when it was very taboo to even talk about it. So we talked about the darkness that was in the house, but nobody talked about depression or addiction. And so I had depression, suicide attempts,
Mhm.
uh, brush with a serial killer, abusive marriage. It's all in the book. But just, I walked through that for so many years, and I had stuffed everything deep inside to a point where it was like it was non-existent. And so I put on all these different faces, all these different masks. I became highly successful in the music world. I was an award-winning songwriter on tour, putting on the smiley face. I was in the corporate world, Microsoft, managing their Xbox team, and looked very successful on the outside, but inside, not so much. I was depleted. I was miserable. I just did not feel like me. I wasn't listening to the whispers of my body, saying there's something wrong, Janine, and there was something wrong. I was bleeding internally. I was diagnosed with a blood disorder that's similar to leukemia. So there was all kinds of health issues, but oh no, I got to work through it. I got to be that strong one that everybody was expecting me to be. And in 2010, my body said no more. And I collapsed going up a simple flight of stairs and was rushed to the hospital, flatlined on the way there, had a mini stroke or a full on stroke. They don't know. But when I woke up and I had an experience with God that changed my life forever. So in 2010, I woke up and I knew that, yes, I had survived death. Something so extraordinary happened to me when Jesus wrapped his arms around me and I felt peace and love like I had never felt before, truly, and strength. And when I woke up, I knew I never wanted to go back to playing small. I did everything I could. I had to relearn a whole bunch of things, including playing piano and music. And it just, I'm not going to say it was an easy journey. It was really, really tough. But I knew that I had never learned how to fully live it, and I had to go through the healing process. I found faith. I found Celebrate Recovery. I became a Washington State rep for the Celebrate Recovery, and I ended up going into the prisons and jails, and I changed everything about my life, and healing was a big part of that. I went through the healing through counselors, through books, through mentors, anything that I could get my hands on information wise to find out, why I ended up the way I was and what to do to change to live a free and abundant life. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Wow. I'm going to say that again. Wow, wow, wow. That's a lot to unpack. And thank you for being so transparent and so vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your journey with others, because that's what gives others permission to be able to unpack their hurts and their challenges, and your willingness to be able to shift, to change, to look at your life differently is so inspiring, Janine.
Thank you. Thank you. It's hard to put all of your different, we all have thousands of stories in our lives and hundreds of things that have happened, major traumas, good things. And the biggest thing that clients ask me when they come to me is, how do I put that all into a story that can transform and connect with people? Because when we meet people, we don't have 10 hours to sit there and talk about our stories. And it is tough. And it took me a long time because I think when we go through trauma, uh, pain that's so bad that you just never, like, you don't think you're going to get on the other side of it. And I know some people may not have lost a parent, a spouse, a child, but we know that there's pain that you just can't see the other side of it, right? We all have those stories, and how do you turn it into wisdom? How do you connect with people that come to you afterwards and say, you see me, you hear me, and I've never had that happen before. Thank you. You've given me permission to speak about those things that nobody speaks about, that kind of thing. So,
Right. Wow. Yeah, what I'm hearing you say is we all have messes, right? Turning your mess into a message, turning
yes,
you know, the drama and trauma into something that's beautiful and can
yes.
be of service to others and redeem your life. So, okay, I want to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
What would you say to the woman sitting in the audience listening to this podcast, who looks successful on the outside but feels disconnected on the inside?
Mm, great question. The first thing I would say is, I see you because I was you. And it is possible to look very successful on the outside, to show up and command a room with a smile, and still in your mind be in the back of the room wondering, am I enough? Do I belong? And feeling exhausted. We hear that word burnout all the time. I think it's overused. I think what burnout is not working harder, it's performing harder. And so we
Mm,
can be the strong one, the leader, the woman everybody depends on, right? And still wonder, am I enough? How could my story help somebody? And so the first thing that I say is come home to yourself. Ask yourself, when did I stop dreaming? Like that 5-year old, I told my mom when I was 6 I was going to be a rock star. I knew back then that God had created me for big things, and it might have taken me 50 years to get there, but yeah, I got there. So think about those dreams. When did your life become about proving and performing and pleasing and producing and just surviving? Because God does not want that for us. He wants abundance, thrive for us to thrive, to fly and pollinate flowers all over the world that we may never see bloom. So
mm,
ask yourself what happened, and I believe in journaling and doing brain dumps. I really do. I would just say write everything down. Start out journaling. Just you don't need to be perfect. There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. Just write it down and, think to yourself, what do I need to release? The things that
mm,
don't serve us well. We hear that all the time. Get rid of the negative people, get rid of the toxic people. But what if you don't even acknowledge that they're negative or toxic because you have been putting on the strong front that dangerous and toxic appears normal to you? And that's what happened to me. It's like, oh, and wow, befriending a serial killer, spending alone time with somebody, how did that happen? I thought I was an intuitive person. How could that happen? So, it's just really sitting with yourself and giving yourself grace and giving yourself permission to write it down, to record it. Lori Hardy says, just sit down and hit record, right? You
right.
don't have to be telling it to somebody else, just record it, get those stories down.
Mm. I love what you're saying because you're taking personal responsibility for yourself. So, sure, we need to be careful. They say that you are the sum total of the five people you spend the most time with, right?
Yep.
So, you want to spend your time with good company, with people who have a high vibration, who are good people, who will, help you to be the best version of yourself.
Hmm.
But I love what you say that the question you ask yourself is, what do I need to release? That's taking personal responsibility, right?
Yep. Yes.
And that's so important. You think about it when people say when you're pointing at somebody, I'm pointing at you right now with my fingers.
Yeah.
And so,
Yes.
you're pointing at one person, but there's three fingers, four fingers with your thumb pointing right back at you. So, it's a good place to start, right?
It is. And I like what Rick Warren, the author of Purpose Driven Life and the main senior pastor of Saddleback down in California, he says, what does blame stand for? Be lame. When- You're being
Yeah,
lame when you blame. It's like, I
that's right.
love that.
Let's not do that, right?
Yeah, take personal responsibility for and I'm not saying because I have had um abuse and things like that, it's not okay. I just want to say that when you're forgiving and you're accepting your own responsibility, you're not saying it's okay that that happened. You're not saying it's okay for that person to have done that to you. That's not at all. You're forgiving yourself, you're forgiving that other person for yourself, because you've heard the term unforgiveness. It's like taking the poison and waiting for
Yes,
the other person to die, right?
right,
It's true. It only harms you.
right.
And so it's taking personal responsibility for, okay, I forgive myself, I forgive that other person, and then move on. Doesn't mean you have to accept that person back into your life, even if it's a family member. I
Right.
get real passionate
Absolutely.
about this stuff.
No, absolutely. Those are really good reminders and boundaries as well, to be able
Boundaries.
to put that out there. So I want to catch on to something and bring it back that you mentioned a couple of times. And you were a survivor of a serial killer and or the fact that you flatlined, um, and that in the midst of those statements, you said it was forgetting who you were.
Hmm.
So what do you mean by that?
You're just on autopilot. You're just performing for worth. Like for me, I was earning my worth in this world. I was earning love. I didn't think that I was entitled to the basics that every human is deserving of, which is love and respect and to be seen and heard. And I didn't think that I
Mm,
was entitled to those things. And so when you forget about yourself, you're just doing for everybody else. And you're not paying attention to your own needs, to your own dreams, your own desires. And you're just like on this autopilot. And you kind of forget, like, oh, who is Ginine? I love that movie, The Runaway Bride. On a silly
hmm
note, that
hmm
was me. When I
Wow.
got out of my abusive marriage, I'm like, what kind of eggs do I like? I know it sounds so trivial, but you live your life for others, whether and I'm not like my mom was a hero in my mind. Like we celebrated her last week. We celebrated celebration of life, and every single person said she lived for us and she gave her whole life to us. But that hurt me too, that she didn't live her life for her, right? So
Right.
that's what I mean. We can give to others, but still care about ourselves, about our own needs. Put on the
Yeah.
oxygen mask, right?
Right.
Because if you're depleted, you're no good to anybody else. I mean, truly, right? It's just kind
Right.
of,
And we want to dispel the misconception that, being selfish. We're
yeah.
selfish if we focus on ourselves. So there's, like anything, you want to, if you're at one extreme or the other, it's not good. But to be able to, love ourselves, put ourselves, uh, not the performance piece really spoke to me because that's something that has us not be in touch with ourselves when
Hmm.
we're trying to impress others and trying to, um, we're not grounded, if you will.
Right. Right. And not everybody has the low self-esteem that I had from an early age. And I don't know where it came from. I don't think I was abused like some people, when I was young. But from the time earliest that I could remember, I'd be in a room and think I was the ugliest, the fattest, the stupidest. I had a really, really low self-esteem and low sense of worth. And I knew of Jesus. I believed God, in all of that. But I would say to myself, Jesus loves them, but how could he love somebody like me?
Hmm.
And I wonder how many people out there have that, even if you're not a believer of God, but maybe thinking in your family, oh, my mom loves everybody else. She doesn't love me as much. It's just sad. We're all children of God, magnificently made,
Yes.
brilliant human beings. Every single one of us. We all have our own brilliance. We do. We each have our own brilliance that we bring to this world. Shine your light. You could be the medicine for somebody else that is only going to be saved by you because your story is the story that resonates with them. You know, I just think that we all have the power to heal with our stories and transform. It's just how are we doing it? How are we showing up?
Wow. Janine, you're such an inspiration. And again, like I mentioned at the onset, just being vulnerable, being transparent. You've been through a lot, but you've been able to turn it around. You're not just wallowing in, the circumstances of your life or different perspectives that you've held, that kept you down. So what do you believe is the difference between telling your story and turning your story into a movement or redeeming it, as we've talked about?
There's a few things there. When I stopped asking myself, why did this happen to me? Oh, what, me, I, and started thinking, who needs me today? Who can be touched by my story? Then everything changed because it stops being about us. It starts with your story, but our story, Cyndi, you said, oh, that really resonated with me at the exceptional connections, because I said your story is your evidence.
Yes.
It's the evidence that healing is possible, right? um, but to take that one step further, is the point of your story is that transformation is the message, the healing is the message, that it becomes a mirror to somebody else. You're not the spotlight anymore. And truly, there's so many good things that can come out of that. For me, I was really nervous. You wouldn't think that I would be, because I'd been on stages my whole life, truly, from the time I was little, in professional jazz groups and theater and acting and music, and then later on speaking at events. You would think, that I had it down, but I didn't. Right? It's like I was showing up, and I was what I call bleeding on the stage. So I was telling my story, me, I. I still hadn't done the healing. And that's very cathartic. To tell your story, I encourage people to tell your story as much as you can. If you're in that transformation, we call it being in the cocoon, when you're strengthening your wings before you get out of the cocoon. You're healing, you're going through that. It's real powerful. But what I was doing is I was showing up on these big stages, and I wasn't as effective. I just wasn't, truly, because I was bleeding all over the stage. It was me. And so as soon as I turned that into, when I healed from it, and I turned it into, okay, yes, this happened to me, but I want this to be about you. I see you, I hear you. You too can rise. You too can heal. You can get on the other side of this. And it's not about telling our whole autobiography. And trust me, it's really hard, because you want to tell so much and cram it into one little 20-minute spot, but you just can't do that. Right? So it's like your story becomes your transformation and healing message that others can relate to. So I don't, like, did that answer your question? I
Oh
kind
no,
of.
that's so beautiful. So as I'm hearing you share, I'm seeing, obviously a transformation in you. So, and we all have to go through that. We're not perfect, there's a process and it's not always pretty, right? But what I'm hearing you say is, in telling your story, there was a shift from being a victim, wallowing, kind of, dealing with all the stuff that you had been either was on your plate from birth that happened, unfortunately, your father passing at a young age, how that experience affected your entire family, and I'm imagining financially as well. But
Oh,
the intentional shift to being able to have your story be evidence and give others hope, right?
yes, yes. And I said that there's a lot of abundance in that. And it, you show up, you just keep showing up, and you show up in servitude of others. It's not, oh, and it gets easier to be up on a stage, because it's not about you. So like, I'd show up and I'd be like, oh, my makeup, my hair, I bet I look cruddy. Like, am I wearing the right color? I'm being kind of silly right now, like, because when you're a singer, right, you're all worried about that. But what happens is you stop worrying about yourself, and you just don't care, because you're so interested in the other people, that being on that stage gets easier and easier. and showing up for other people and being on podcasts, being at exceptional connections, it's like I'm not saying the stage fright goes away because I love being nervous. It motivates me, but it's an exciting kind of nervousness. I'm not worried about, oh, do I have, you know, lipstick on my teeth or whatever. Like you're not thinking about that anymore. And hopefully your sister tells you, right, that you have lipstick on you. But also, other people feel that. They feel that calm presence, your nervous system. You show up and you're ready, you're on fire. Your nervous system, your conscious mind, your subconscious, your nervous system are in alignment for the message that you're bringing, and people can feel that difference. They're like, oh, I feel safe. Wow. And it's a magical thing that happens because then what we teach our clients that want to be professional speakers or have top rated TV shows and podcasts like we do is that people will rush. You won't even get off the stage and they'll be rushing towards you, rushing towards your table to meet you because they feel so good. You know, it's not the information, it's the way that you're moving the person that you're speaking to. It doesn't have to be a big stage. It could be the PTA, it could be church, right? Getting up, speaking at your church. They're going to rush forward and say, I want to be in your inner circle. Can, you know, that kind of thing. So
Right.
magical things happen.
So you're telling your story, but you're connecting with the audience in such a
Yes.
way that you're being a contribution to them. So it's
Yes.
not all about you. That's
Right.
not the focus. The
Right.
focus is you're wanting your message to be redemptive, right? To be
Yeah.
able to support them and that what you've gone through wasn't in vain, that other people can benefit from and be healed from.
Yeah.
So
It's
what is one thing women are waiting for that they need to stop waiting for?
Oh, they're waiting for perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. They're waiting to heal more, for their circumstances to change, to make more money, to be thinner, to gain weight, to have more muscle. We're always waiting as women for perfection, but there's no such thing as perfection. And I love it because when I met my husband 5 years ago, and everything has changed since then, but when we first started, people met us and we were on the stages and they were saying, "You guys are so quirky. You're like Sonny and Cher. You're like the next duo. You're just weird and quirky." And everybody said, "Start a TV show." And it took us 2 years because we kept thinking we don't know the technology. I need to, get better at that type of being in front of an audience, and you can wait till you're blue in the face and wait, don't wait another day, because growth happens and confidence comes as you just keep showing up. And none of us are perfect. We fell on our faces so many times when we were doing that TV show to start. Cindy, we told you stories, at dinner. We laugh at it now, but we got through it. We're alive, right? And people actually love that. People don't want perfection anymore. They want to see real, so it's like, what are you waiting for? And when I ask myself that, it's like, you're right. What am I waiting for? And I just want to give this cautionary tale because I was writing a book all last year, 2025. I was working so hard, and it actually was 30 years of the making, right? This book, story to stage, part memoir, part like training and framework. And I kept waiting to tell my mom about it because I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted it to get to bestseller status. I was waiting. I don't know why. Like I wanted her to be proud of me. I wanted to bring like this perfect product. And she died before I could tell her about
Mm,
it.
mm.
And it broke my heart. Yes, I got over it quick though. We can't wallow in self misery. I know she's a guardian angel up there right now, and she talks to me every day and she's proud, you know, but that's just a good example of, don't wait till it's perfect, because someday may never come. We're not promised tomorrow. So what can you give? How can you show up for that one person today? It'll change everything for you. Stop waiting to be perfect.
Right. Well, your story about waiting to, and to tell your mom until whatever, at some point during your career or the podcast or whatever, your book, it would, but you never know. Life is unpredictable
Hmm.
and perfection is elusive also. You
Yeah.
mentioned perfection. To be able to attain that is it's so elusive. Where's the boundary line? When
Hmm.
are we perfect? So gosh, I relate to that one. I'm a recovering perfectionist myself, and so I'm always trying to keep that in mind. Okay, so what if your audience members, if there's only one thing from today for them to take away, what would that be? What do you hope that would be, that the takeaway from today's conversation?
I already said it. Stop waiting.
Okay.
But find your brilliance. We all have skills and talents. What is your unique brilliance that you can bring to the table? And really sit on that, because it might be something that you don't even know. And what you could do too is, so number one, know that you're a child of God and that you are magnificent. I already said all of those things. But sometimes it's like, okay, how do I stand out in a crowd? What's my unique brilliance? Ask 5 people that you trust and love, because they may see things in you that you don't see. So this is epic. I did that and I'm like, oh, wow. Really? And then you'll see this common theme that people keep showing up and telling you these things and you're like, "Oh, I didn't even see that." And again, bring your brilliance to the table, baby, because we're all unique. People could sit there like, we teach story to stage. We teach how to create your signature message, how to write a book, how to show up and go from unknown to unforgettable, to walk off a stage and to be remembered forever. Like, we teach all of that stuff. But what people were telling me was my brilliance was making people feel safe in conversation, that they felt safe enough to share their story. And that is like the connection with others will create community, and then the community leads to a ripple effect, and then that leads to a movement. Because
Mm,
we in order to leave a legacy, our stories need to get out there, right? And a
right.
ripple effect. I help you, Cyndi, you go out and help somebody else, they help another 5 people. It's a ripple effect. So our mission is to help 1 million people. We may not actually know personally that 1 million, but it's like, share your brilliance with the world and let others tell you what that brilliance is.
But it really is a ripple effect. I love the word picture that you're painting of, it starts with connection with individuals and then it moves to community. And then
Yeah.
from there, the movement begins, right? And just
Yeah.
like any vision, like a vision statement, mission and vision statement, they say really a vision statement is something you'll most likely never see achieved. It's bigger than you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the movement is for you, right? It's something that you may not see the fruition of,
Mm-hmm.
but you know that that ripple effect is going to occur if you take action and others take action.
Yes. Yes, and if you leave your story inside, or your book sits on a shelf and doesn't get out to the world, then what good is your story doing in the world if it stays in here? So it needs to come out somehow, whether it's a podcast, book, conversation. I mean, when we say story to stage, we don't necessarily mean a big stage. It's your story needs to get out there. It has the power to heal, transform, inspire others. And so take that one courageous step. you don't have to transform your life overnight. And I used to be not only a perfectionist, but I was like a to Z person. It's like, okay, I want this now. And I tried to fast track, everywhere, everything that I wanted to achieve. Well, one step, one courageous yes, one courageous step at a time, 5, 10 minutes a day, it all adds up. That's a ripple effect too. And in the timing, it's magical. It's like 5, 10 minutes, leads to this, leads to that. And then all of a sudden you show up. Did I tell you that it was a sold out show at the Rockstar Diaries, the live event we did? Sold
No.
out, and it was all about community. Everybody was coming together for a unified movement of storytelling and healing. And it was magical because it wasn't about us. It was about we. Like when I say, like, wasn't about Tracy and my husband and I, wasn't about I and me, it was about we. And that's when you know
Mhm.
you have a movement, when people are showing up for each other, not to try to get something out of you, but because they want to be part of something bigger than just themselves.
Right. Yeah, that's when it becomes a mission, right? Or a
Yes.
vision and a movement is when it is bigger than you. So you've mentioned, and of course that's part of your talk here that you gave, and what we're discussing is, you actually had your story go to a stage. You've taken the stage with your music, with your podcast, as a speaker, as an author. Not everybody is going to take it to that level, right? Not every person listening here is, can visualize themselves being on a real stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we all have people that we influence in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about that. Talk to us about the person who, so they're sitting there and they're saying, "Oh, I love her story and I can relate to it and it's inspiring, but I don't see myself ever being on a stage." But we all do have a stage, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
Well, number one, it's my understanding exceptional connections. There's a lot of business owners, right?
Yes.
Entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur, it your story, you are your brand. Your story is your message. And people are not going to buy from you if they don't trust you. And your story can create that connection, even if it's just a little part of that story. It doesn't have to be everything. I know that there's some things that, just are meant to stay inside, I guess, or with a confidant. But just that one thing that you think, wow, and there's a lot. You could own a brick and mortar, you could have an online business, you could have this, you could have that. And how you show up with your story, how do you promote your business? Through social media? Now, I'm getting on the business level right now because it's exceptional connections. There are a lot of brilliant entrepreneurs and business owners, all that. So your story could escalate, could not escalate, that's not the elevate and scale your business like there's nobody's business. And that's what happened to us. We were, our business was just kind of steady. We were doing really well. And then we decided to say that one courageous yes and do the podcast and do the TV show. And we even have a stage play that we do at conferences. And our business just took off because people trust you more. They read about your story. It could be in a book. Like it doesn't have to be on a big stage. It can be, I say social media, you don't have to show up on video. It could be all text, right? Um, Even with your story, if you're giving your testimony at church, do you want people to walk up to you after you've given your testimony and say, "I'm so sorry that happened to you"? Or do you want them to say to you, "Oh my gosh, your story changed my life. Now I know I'm not alone." Right? There's a big difference there. And it's true with your business too. It really can just take you to the top. And that's what it's doing. It's a ripple effect, and then somebody else reads your story. They have the courage then to go out and tell their story. Again, I keep coming back to the ripple effect, but
No, I think it's beautiful because I love the way you're saying about individual business owners because I want to be able to speak to you out there who's listening and you're thinking, wow, this woman is amazing. She's been through a lot. She's had a lot of adversity, but she's turned it around. It's so positive. But I really don't think I have a story that's very compelling or that's going to make a difference. But I love what you're saying because our brand is the reflection of our
hmm
story.
hmm
When we get really
yes.
clear about who we are, who we serve, the difference we want to make in the world with the product and service that we're passionate about, that is that is our stage.
hmm That absolutely correct. I have hundreds of clients that truly they start out by saying, mm, my story's not that important. Then you start talking to them and you find out they had an autistic child that is now flourishing in life because they took the time to learn all about autism and get the proper resources and tools to help. Or you find out that somebody had a bad car accident and had to learn how to walk I mean, there's so many different stories out there. Somebody like Mother Teresa, right? Think about her story, and if she had stayed safe in her environment and didn't get out into the world, how many people would be missing out? There's a story for
Mhm.
everybody out there.
Right.
Not everybody's going to like me. Not everybody's going to like you. There's some people out there that, uh, like more, I just got off of a call with Grant Cardone, and he's like very like million billion. His whole story is about, oh, do you want a jet too? Do you want, like to own an island in Hawaii? You too can have billions of dollars. That's not me, right? I don't really connect with that, but other people out there do. So you just never know how your story is going to touch somebody. And again, trust your inner circle. It's great to be in connection groups that like what Cyndi has started. It's amazing because you tell your story and then you find out what your brilliance is. You find out that you actually do have a story. It's quite amazing when you connect like that. So thank you, Cyndi, again for all you do. Truly, it's a lot of work, and I know that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love what you said because you're right. We can't please everybody. We're not everybody's cup of tea, and it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's okay because we want to find our, some I call it community, exceptional connections community. Some people, they would call their organization or group a tribe, whatever you call it. We're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay.
hmm
Because what we want to do is whether it's for our business, attracting our ideal clients, for our team, fellow business own, collaborative business owners, we want to find people that we resonate with,
Yes,
right? And what
yes.
I love about your story, the raw story of Janine and what you've been through in your life, and how you haven't made yourself a victim, but you're always redeeming your story. You're always bringing others hope and hope for a better future, and to be able to look at their own situation and be able to see it with different eyes
hmm
and be able to learn the lesson. I think that's more important now than ever
hmm
is to be willing to embrace what's happened in our life, but not wallow in it, but
Yes,
redeem it.
and not be
Um,
ashamed.
No,
There,
because it's part of our story, right?
yeah.
It's what's made us who we are.
There's two C words, cocaine and cancer. They both relate to me. And for the longest time, those were, oh my gosh, I can never talk about that. That in my 20s, right? I did cocaine and I really never thought that I could ever live without it, for like 2 years. And I'm on the other side of that. And I could help others that maybe feel that way because I had been there. I'd been in the trenches of despair and I've had, the other C word too, right? There's things that people will trust you if you've actually been through it and not just in theory, because we have a lot of, we have information available to us, like there's no, oh my gosh, chat GPT and everything is at our fingertips to learn. And and a lot of it is theory. People are online teaching things that they've been taught, but I feel like I'm going to go to the teacher that's been through what I've been through, or the mentor, or the confidant, or because
Oh,
I want to feel that connection.
absolutely. The relate you're creating that relationship because you have that
Yes.
commonality. You've been through that battle, that war
Mhm.
together, and you understand, the dynamics of it. And in some cases, you don't have to necessarily go through it, but just having touch points, having areas where you have common ground, one little thing can help build a relationship, right?
Yes. Yes.
You don't have to have gone through everything the same or the same horrors or anything, but
Oh, yes, exactly.
just being able to have that commonality.
That empathy.
The
Yes.
empathy, yes, the compassion. So, wow, thank you so much for sharing more about your journey and the power of being able to transform stories. We all have unique stories. We may not think they're very interesting or unique or different, but it's made us who we are. And so I love your perspective and being able to embrace the story that we have, the life that we've lived, be able to redeem it, be able to not be a victim, be able to turn it into a movement, even if it just changes our family.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to change the world. Changing our family will change the world.
Yeah, exactly. That's mic drop moment right there.
Well, it's that ripple that you're talking about. It's a powerful ripple there. So I think this would be a great time to have some of our listeners who are here live with us. Feel free to unmute yourself. This is a unique opportunity. Ginine is coming to us from Plano, Texas, but she was here visiting from in the Seattle area, and we were really honored to be able to have her share. So this is a chance to be able to ask your questions or share your ahas or epiphanies. So, Lisa,
Oh, that was so thrilling. I loved your story, everything about it. Thank you so much, Janine. I have a similar story, and I'm in the process of writing my own book now, and I just feel so in line with you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for sharing and keep at it.
Thank
If you
you.
need somebody to chat with and I'm your gal, just let's have a conversation, truly.
Okay,
I
thanks
want
so
to know your
much.
story.
Thank you.
anyone else want to share their insights? Maybe something that we talked about that is kind of noodling in your brain and you're thinking, wow, I need to pray about that. I need to think about that. I need to release that. And this is a great opportunity to get some support from Janine on that.
Um, I think the thing that really came at me that, I know, but it's just so good to hear, and sometimes you forget, is that growth and confidence comes with moving forward and doing what you're being called to do. It's so easy to want to say, I just need to rehearse this a little bit better. I just need to be a little bit better. But when you actually get out and connect with people and talk with them and do the things that you're called to do, you grow, you get better, and you gain more confidence. And so thank you for that reminder, because sometimes I just want to sit back and say, it's not time yet. But when we get out and do, it makes a big difference. I appreciate that. Thank you, Janine.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate that. It's true.
And Gail, I've seen you walk that out too. I've seen you over the years that I've known you be a part of our Exceptional Connections community. I've seen you just really grow and blossom. So, although we get encouraged by what we hear, I would, it's really beautiful when you see somebody walking it out, not just, playing it safe. Because
Yes.
when we come
Thank you.
together, we go to networking events or what have you, we always think everybody else has it all together.
Exactly.
And we're going to arrive at some point someday. But
Yes.
it's really fun to be on this journey together with Lisa and Gail and Chuck and Colleen and Julia. We're in and we're all on this journey together, right? And we
Yes.
get to be witnesses for each other. I love that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know that I've come up to another place, though, where I need to push through. So it was good for me to hear, okay, I've come this far and thank you that I have grown, but there's another level that God wants me to push through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Change is the word that's coming up for me more and more lately. And it's not just changing for change's sake, it's changing really to being willing to move on and not just
Mm.
stay where you've been.
Yep.
Being willing to move on, be willing
Yes.
to be open, be willing to forgive, be
Mm-hmm.
willing to take risks.
Mm-hmm.
And I really see that that's where we're at right now. And so the
Mm-hmm.
it's not only doing it ourselves, but being able to link arms and say, let's do this. Let's do this together. We don't, the thing about being entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners is, and I will always tell people, the good news is nobody's going to tell you what to do. We're not in employees, right? Nobody's going to tell us what to do. The the not so good news, I'll say, is nobody's going to tell us what to do. And sometimes we want that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, we have to be self-motivated, right? As business owners.
Right.
So I love that in community, we don't have to be by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we're in business for ourselves doesn't mean we have to be by ourselves. And so
Yep.
that's what my heart is for Exceptional Connections. That's my mission is to be able to bring these brilliant business owners together and that we can mastermind, we can collaborate, we can support one another. And we don't have to be in these cubicles where we have to figure it out by ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. And we have our friend ChatGPT too. I'm just kidding.
Well, we do have that, inspiration, right? To see things in
Talk
a
about
different,
change.
right, for sure. Well, you know what? Okay, let's talk about that. AI, the advent of AI, of having answers at our fingertips. We can ask a question. We can get a very, um, processed nugget that we can chew on and look at. But I'm thinking about the difference between AI and real human connections more and more lately, and how AI doesn't have a chance against us humans
Mm-mm.
because we're real. And that's the thing that sets us apart. And I think that's the thing that's going to really help those of us who are recovering perfectionists. So for those of you recovering perfectionists out there, be encouraged because AI is perfect or presents itself as perfect, right? But what is distinguishing us, I believe, more and more in the future is our concern, our gratitude, our caring nature, our integrity, being able to be a person worthy of trust. Those are things that are going to set us apart from
Mm-hmm.
the AI perfection that's out there. And I think that's the social collateral. This is my, this is my platform here. Anyway, that's a social collateral that I think we need to lean into more than
Mm-hmm.
ever.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about what you were saying, Cyndi, and what Ginine was talking about, in that the important thing when you're telling your story is to create that connection. And AI can't do that.
Yep.
You can read about all of that, but a person is the only thing you connect with. You can't connect with AI. You can only can't connect with the person. So
Yeah.
as we become people who are open enough to tell our story and share with other people how we've come through it and how we can help them, especially if it's in a position where they've shared something similar, then there's that connection. And that's something that is something AI can never do.
Yep.
And developing that relationship, because you can't have a relationship with AI.
I think
So
people
true.
have tried. Not very successfully though. But yeah, I mean, I've heard of somebody that I mean, they had like a romantic relationship with this chat GPT thing. It's a little really freaky.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God.
stories, let's put, kind of tie a bow around here. Stories are sharing our journey. And Ginine, what I love about what you've shared and how you've lived it so beautifully for us, and with not the intention to, necessarily, um, what is the word I'm looking for? You're not trying to impress anybody, but you've been working through it yourself. And you've, like Gail said, you've come through it. But what I hear at the end is in coming through it and sharing your story, you're giving hope to others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Right.
the magic, right? That's the magic
Yes.
of our stories. What
Yes.
Yes.
I'm hearing you share.
Yes. If I could do it, you can do it on so many different levels. Truly, there is hope. Help one person every day.
Right.
And that can be distilled into or just even our commercials that we give at our events. We can tell these little stories that people can relate to and say, and you're not selling a product. It's not about selling a product. It's being able to create that transformation, right? We all
Mm-hmm.
want, we, I always think about it. There's a lot of malls in the United States and the world. There's a lot of stores out there,
Yes.
right? So people are buying,
Mm-hmm.
and yet people don't like being sold to.
Right.
Right. Right. Yep.
So how to make that bridge where we can share a story of how a product or service has helped us and it gives hope to others. How what we've been through can encourage people and give them hope. So I'm just processing yeah, I'm processing right now already what I've learned from you and how we can use our stories to really encourage and support others and give them hope for a future themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked your message of showing up to serve every day. And that's what I like to do too. Who can I help today? Who can I serve? Who can I reach? I think that's really powerful.
Thank you for that, Colleen. That was nice. You're right. That is inspiring to you mentioned that earlier in your talk. It's just again part of the transformation. Julia, I see you popped up. Do you
Yeah,
want to
she
say
just
anything
popped
before we
up.
close?
Well, I've just been listening the whole time. So, but I think like what you said about like people don't like being sold to. I think when people walk into a store, they feel like they have control.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they're having a one-on-one relationship, they're feeling that they're being sold to. They're being
Yeah.
sold in both areas. It's just they're not recognizing the marketing or the
Yep.
display. And I also think that um, I, I'm wondering if people are feeling well, there was a book, like, I don't know, there was a book that said like the amount of social groups are decreasing, the amount of, bowling together is decreasing. So I'm wondering if people feel way more comfortable watching Netflix and
Mm-hmm.
interacting through chat. I mean, I can't even get customer service anymore. I mean, I gotta go through a chat.
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering, like the whole our society is moving into this third party thing that it's we don't need as much, or maybe don't even want as much time together anymore. So
Right.
I think people are really looking for community, and I think it's about community and building trust with people, and yeah, seeing how you can serve them, not just trying to sell them something.
You brought up some really interesting points there, Julia. And you're right. People they want to buy things, but they don't like being sold to, like we talked
Right.
about. But it feels like the chat GPT box, where you instead of a customer service talking to a live person, it's like there's some kind of a boundary that's not the word. It's we're being separated. And what we need to do is come together. Even to the extent of customer service not being able to talk to a live person. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm really frustrated by that. I'm always like representative, real
Yeah,
person.
and you get it
Yes.
I
endless
want I want
hits.
to get there as fast as I can. I'm not
Yes.
going to mess around.
well, I think we're turning into machines, right? Like we're being treated like machines.
Yes.
That all of our questions can be answered on a keypad.
I think
So
the hope here, though, is that if we're all complaining, like upset about it, and I believe that the younger generation, I don't even know if you call them the Z generation.
yeah,
I did a deep dive on the different generations, and they're anti video games, anti online. Like they're getting back to having real get-togethers in person. Oh my goodness, can you believe that? Sitting right next to somebody talking to them rather than over a video game. So I mean, I believe there's going to be like a revolution or something where, we all come together but yeah, it is a little bit scary.
Well, Janine, I want to be respectful of time here, of yours and everyone else's. And so I just want to toss it back to you for any closing comments that you want to share with our listeners today.
Uh, I'm not here to sell you anything. I just want to keep in contact so you can go to Facebook or Instagram. My handle is Ginine Emily, and on LinkedIn it's Ginine Smith. Real easy to find me. And again, it's for me, I love just hearing your story, building community. I have so many friends in Seattle, and a lot of them are partners. We're building this movement to take stories on the road. We don't know what or how that's going to look like, but it's you get brilliant minds together, and you never know what might come of that because I'm only one mind, you're only one mind, but think of like collectively what we could do for this world. So just get a hold of me, send me a Facebook message. Um, yeah, I think you sent out my information in the email, if I remember, so I don't really have to put it in chat.
No, I'll go ahead and put your bad-lioness.com and your email address in the description of the podcast. So anybody who want to stay in contact or get in contact with Janine, you have the ability to do that. So, well, thank you, Janine. We
Thank you.
appreciate so much your generosity, your time, and sharing with our community live, and then being able to have this beautiful conversation with you today as well. So, I just want to thank all of you who are joining us for our conversation to connect today. Until next time, remember your story matters. Every conversation holds possibility. Every person deserves to be seen, heard, and valued. Stay curious, listen generously, and make every connection an exceptional connection. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.